Alright, so I have some really exciting news for you guys. Just recently, and by recently I mean last week, I was awarded a small business grant to fund my business. Next year I'm adding some new streams of revenue to my business overall, and I needed a little bit of help funding those endeavors. So earlier this year, actually really late last year and into earlier this year, I started looking for opportunities to apply for different business grants, and I came across one that was fitting for my business and what I do, and it was really just a great opportunity, so I applied for it, and 6 months later I was awarded that grant. Many people think getting business grants are unlikely. Everyone says that getting a business grant is as likely as finding a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow, but I'm here to tell you that is not the case. I didn't think I would get a business grant, to be honest. When I first started, coming across this opportunity was something that was kind of unexpected for me. So getting this business grant really opened my eyes to the opportunities for free money out there for small businesses in the United States. So if you need free money to fund your business, if you want to know how to find a grant to help you fund your business, then watch this video, because I'm going to give you lots of interesting advice and tips to help you along the way in finding additional funding for your business. So if this is interesting for you, keep watching. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Nia Lewis, and I help freelancers and solo entrepreneurs build successful businesses and cultivate lives of freedom along the way through self-improvement. So I'm super excited to have you here, and more importantly, I'm excited to help you build your business. When I initially started looking for grant opportunities, I thought, and I was mistaken when I assumed this, I thought that there were really only two avenues to go down when it came to securing a business grant. And in looking at these two opportunities that I'm about to mention, it's difficult to imagine actually getting a grant because the competition is really high. And well, let me just get into it and I'll explain here why it's difficult to imagine getting a grant based on these two most common ways of looking for grants and finding them. So the first commonly known grants or common grant opportunities are offered by the government, and typically these grants, in securing these grants, you have to meet very specific criteria, and a lot of small businesses don't meet these criteria, which means that most small businesses are unlikely to get government issued grants. Now, there are also grant opportunities from large organizations like FedEx. That's just a really popular business that offers a grant every single year to help fund small businesses. They offer a limited amount of funds every year to fund small businesses to offer different grant opportunities. And again, the competition for those grants are so high. Hundreds of thousands of businesses apply for these grants through organizations like FedEx every single year, and very few actually end up getting grants. So when I started looking into these opportunities, I was like, oh my gosh, what are the chances that I'm actually gonna get a grant? I mean, again, it seemed as likely as finding a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. But the more digging I did into this world of grant opportunities, the more I realized that there were other opportunities out there to secure free funding for small businesses. So once I got really deep into looking for grants, I discovered that there were local community organizations around the nation that had funding available to fund small businesses in their communities. So you really just have to know who to reach out to and where to look for these funds, and sometimes it's really just about who you know. So I ended up on a whim last year, or actually it was earlier this year, around March or April. On a whim, I actually went to a presentation on securing business funding by a locally funded organization here in Charleston, South Carolina, and they told me about, different opportunities to apply for loans and how to secure an SBA loan and, other ways you can find money to fund your business. And then lo and behold, they told me about another local community organization who receives government funds, and a part of the funds they receive every year are allocated towards funding local small businesses. I'd never heard of anything like this before, but it really opened my eyes, and I was just like, wow. So just like, college students can get scholarships from local organizations to go to college, small businesses can get the same types of funding from local organizations to fund their businesses. So I ended up reaching out to this local organization. I have it linked down below, and they told me about the small business grant opportunity they had available. They have a limited amount of funds every year that they allocate towards funding local small businesses, and there really weren't any stipulations or any hoops I had to jump through to qualify for this grant. It was a $3,500 grant, and I'll tell you more about how the program worked and how it was structured in just a second, but the only criteria I had to meet to get this money were that I had to show that my business had a financial need. I had to prove to them that I actually needed this money, okay? I also had to provide documentation of having an LLC. I also had to provide a business plan, and I'll talk more about the significance of that business plan in a second. And then after providing those things, that was pretty much it. So the program was called a match program, and what this meant was that they would match a certain amount of money that I had to save into a specific type of bank account over the course of 6 months. So it was a match program where I saved $500 into a bank account, a special bank account called an individual development account through their organization. And at the end of 6 months after I'd saved $500 into that account, they would then match my $500 with $3,500, giving me a total of $4,000 to fund my business. Out of that $400, $500 of it was my own money, and $3,500 of that money was a business grant. I don't know what the significance of this match program was, but that's just how it worked. They wanted to see that I was able to save money, and maybe they wanted to see that I was financially conscious enough to be able to spend the money that they were investing into my business wisely. I really don't know, but basically, again, how it worked is they told me how much I need to save every single month to get $500 in an account in 6 months. I actually ended up putting the $500 in the account really just from the very beginning because I already had money in savings to put the $500 in the account, and then it just sat there for 6 months, and then at the end of the 6 months they wrote me a check for $4,000 total, giving me my $500 back and an additional $3,500 through the grant. I'm sure every business grant program is a little bit different, so I don't want you to assume that every grant program is going to be exactly like this, but again, I got my business grant through a local community organization, which is actually linked down below, and I'm going to walk you guys through the exact steps I had to take in order to get this grant. So first I had to provide tax returns. That's pretty standard, just like when you go and get a loan for your business, if you're applying for some sort of loan. I had to kind of go through a similar process in getting qualified to receive this grant. So I provided them with my tax returns. They looked over it, told me I was approved. Once I was approved, the organization assigned me to a bank account, again called an individual development account through TD Bank, and I was told that I had to save X amount of money every single month in order to meet the requirements of this account. I had to make a deposit every month until I reached $500. I put a lump sum in there at once myself. Actually, I did like 2 lump sum payments to meet the $500 requirement. I didn't have to put in, you know, $100 some a month for 6 months, whatever. No, I put in like $250 one month, and the next month I put in another $250, and then that was the end of it. And I had to wait 6 months for that money to mature, and then they'd write me the check for $3,500. Once the account reached $500 and it reached maturity, again, I had the $500 in the account before the 6 months was over, but I still had to wait the entire 6 months in order to be awarded that money. I didn't really have to do anything to get the money other than provide the organization with a very detailed business plan about how I would use the money, what my numbers were projected to look like in my business for next year. They didn't want to give me the money and then I just go blow it on things that weren't going to benefit my business. So I was actually assigned a business mentor, and he went through my business plan with me, helped me see different things I could do in my business to be more successful. It was actually really beneficial having that business mentor to kind of help me look through my business plan and give me different ideas to help me grow my business. He also helped me with the numbers because numbers have never been my strength. So I had P&L statements and everything else that's supposed to be in a business plan, in addition to a detailed overview of what I plan to use the $4,000 $10,000 total for to help me grow my business and really get results in 2020. And then of course, I forgot to mention this earlier, but I also had I already had a business bank account, but in order for them to write me the check, I had to give them proof that I had a business bank account so that they knew who to write the check to, and they wrote it to my LLC. At the end of the 6 months, which was just last week, they wrote me the check, and I basically had to promise them that I was only going to use this money for business expenses, and if, for example, this organization gets audited, I have to provide proof next year of what I spent the money on. So I'm going to keep receipts and documentation for everything I spent this grant on to fund my business, to cover my tail in the end, just in case I get audited and have to show proof of what I spent the money on. So when you get a business grant, you have to make sure you spend the money on what you say you're going to spend the money on, and be sure you're able to spend the money on those things and that you can provide receipts for spending the money on these things. Otherwise, you may end up in a little bit of trouble and you may actually have to pay this money back. So again, grants are free money, but if you don't spend the money on what you say you're going to spend the money on, you may have to end up paying that money back. And they made that very clear to me. If you need fast money, a grant is not a good opportunity for you. It's not something you really need to look into, because for me, it took 6 months to get this grant. I wasn't like desperate for the money, but I was looking for free money types of opportunities to fund my business. I found one, I hopped on the opportunity, and I got the grant, and I was patient, and I waited 6 months for it. And this grant has allowed me to upgrade my YouTube equipment. It's allowed me to upgrade my podcasting equipment. It's allowed me to add other revenue streams to my business for 2020. And this is money I don't have to spend out of my own pocket to do great things for my business. So this is not fast money. If you need money tomorrow, you may need to look into other options like business loans. But if you're willing to be patient and wait, then a grant is a great opportunity for you. So if you want other ideas to help you find money to start your business or grow your business, I have another video linked down below with different ideas you can use to help you find money for your business. And I hope you guys enjoyed this overview today about how I got a grant, where I found the grant, and how you can look into other opportunities to find grants. Again, reach out to local community organizations. They may actually have funding to contribute to investing in small businesses in your area. You really just never know, but you have to seek out these opportunities in order to find them. I linked the organization down below that helped connect me with the local community organization that offered the grant funding. And from what I have been told, there are other local community organizations around the country that offer small businesses grant opportunities like the one I got. So you don't always have to look into these like tricky government issued grants, and you don't always have to apply for these national grants that everyone's applying for, like contestants. You know, it's very unlikely that you'll get those. Look locally and don't overlook the small organizations in your community that have funding for these types of things. Now, I will say that these local organizations are funded by the government, so this is technically these are technically government funds that I acquired, but these grants are not directly from, you know, a government type grant. I don't really know how to explain it. It's from a community organization. So these are great places to look if you are looking for grant opportunities. Don't overlook these small organizations in your area. So number one, I would recommend reaching out to local organizations that provide funding for small businesses. They do exist, and typically you can find them through your local SBA type organizations. They can connect you with other organizations that offer funding that are based locally. And I've found so far that these are the best opportunities or the best organizations to reach out to if you're looking for free money to fund your business. So I hope these tips help you in your journey as an entrepreneur and in working to fund your business. That is all I have for you guys today. Comment down below if you have any questions about finding business grants. If I come across any other opportunities, I will let you know. The organization that I got my grant from and through still has funds available for 2020. Don't hesitate to reach out. Don't hesitate to click their link down below and reach out to a representative to ask them about securing these funds. I don't know if you have to be located in this area to get it. I am in Charleston, South Carolina. So if you are in South Carolina specifically, I would definitely 100% recommend reaching reaching out if you know you need additional funds for your business. All right, that's all I have for you guys today. Comment below if you have any questions. Don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm always a resource to you guys. You know, I'm a business coach. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the content, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Continue to move onward, upward, and forward. Have a great week.